Your City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTF, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to the last City Beat of August 2014. My guest is Mayor Tim Johnston. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
And Tim, give us an update on what's been happening around Thompson throughout this summer. I know that lots of people are away and can't always make it to listen.
Well, it's been a very busy summer for us in terms of infrastructure renewal, obviously, with some of the work that's being done. Certainly Thompson Drive North, really from Mystery Lake Road to Mystery Lake Road, with some of the water renewal on the north side, and then some of the multi-use trail development on the south side. So we're very pleased with the progress that we've made in terms of the infrastructure renewal. We're on track. We should have the asphalt crew in next week, which will sort of complete everything. And so I appreciate the cooperation of the public and the patience with some of the work that was being done. I know that is significantly more than usual, but in fact this is going to become the norm, and this is one of the benefits of the water utility, that will create the dollars available to do the renewals. So I think that's good news in the long run for Thompson, because even as of Monday morning we still had 3 water breaks on the boards, which is just very strange for this time of year. So we know that infrastructure renewal is a big thing, and again, we should be pretty much wrapped up most of the work within the next couple of weeks. We still will have some of the work in the Burntwood Trailer Court to do, and things like that. But again, appreciate all the patience of the public.
Okay. And regarding those new water lines, it looks like the biggest chunk of the work is complete. Is there anything that has to be done yet?
Most of the work left is the remediation, just in terms of the landscaping and things like that. A few of the connections, I understand, here on Cree Road still have to be done. I appreciate the work that was done. This is a new means of doing it. Instead of the open trench system that we used to use, that used to cause significantly more disruption in terms of landscaping, we tried directional drilling. You still have to connect, obviously, where the lines come in, and but it's gone extremely well for us this year, and so I think it's something that we're going to look at in the future. It's more economical, and it causes less disruption in terms of landscaping.
Okay, and with these new water lines, is it going to be a little bit easier to prevent the lines from freezing up? I know we had a couple guys come by here yesterday about heating trays, if I'm not mistaken, and we were a little surprised about that.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing. Last year, and it wasn't just Thompson, it was all over in terms of the extreme weather that was experienced, but the biggest one for us in terms of the infrastructure renewal is more the breaks themselves. The freezing, I think we all learned lessons last year in terms of we're going to have to take a few more precautions to try and prevent those types of things. And we'll continue to provide some of the tips that we did sort of through the media last year in terms that people can do. If you speak to anyone that had a frozen water line, they'll tell you, I think they would gladly do some of those tips as opposed to have to face the same thing this year. We had one line, believe it or not, that I think finally unfroze in mid-July.
Wow. And it was fairly nice. I mean, it wasn't that bad anymore. So, Tim, how many more meetings do you have coming up before the election?
Well, I think that there's likely 4 left before the municipal election. It might be 5, I'm not sure. 4 or 5, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And so after 3 terms as a member of council, 1 as a councillor and 2 as mayor, how do you think you're going to adapt to not being in those the council chambers any longer, maybe other than as a guest?
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting. I've absolutely loved my experience. It's, I believe, the best job you can have in Thompson. We live in a phenomenal community. We have great people, and good things are happening. Yes, we have our challenges. There's no doubt about it. But I've absolutely enjoyed my time. I'm going nowhere. I'm going to be a resident of Thompson for many years to come because I love living here. And I've always said it provides me a lifestyle that I could not have had anywhere else. So I'm very pleased to have been able to have a bit of an impact. Some will say that was negative. Some will say it's positive in terms of the outcomes in Thompson. I was raised with the expectation that it was a responsibility and an obligation to contribute to your community. So I hope I've been able to do that. I've enjoyed my time. We have a tremendous administration, tremendous staff at the City of Thompson, and we have great residents. And so working together is how you get things done. And I've always been a believer that it's not one level of government. It is a community that will decide what it's going to be. And I've said before, if people expect government to solve their problems, they're in for a very rude awakening. I'm happy to have been a small part of playing a role in hopefully making Thompson a better place. I'm absolutely confident. I look back over the 8 years and the 12, and I can point to so many positive things that have taken place that I believe make us sustainable many years into the future. So it's been a great experience.
I was just going to ask you that if you could give us a couple of your best moments or favorite moments as mayor.
Well, I think there's a lot, and it's interesting. I think UCN is just a phenomenal accomplishment, and that wasn't the city alone; that was the province and UCN. But that was a big one for us. I think that the Aboriginal Accord was a tremendous success. I think the movement of the city of Thompson to a different means and processes, whether it's the garbage collection, whether it's the water renewal, the utility. Although many people will challenge that wasn't a positive thing. I will absolutely, I'm a firm believer that in the long run it is. And so those things, I think the development, I think some of the things that we did, for example, on land sales, whereas originally when I came onto council, the city of Thompson was a land developer. Well, we never made any money at it. It cost taxpayers. We financed it, so we were paying interest on losing money. And by going to the means that we do now, the developers take the responsibility. We've seen more development because of that process. So if anything, I hope that we brought a different way of thinking, and that was by looking at what other successful communities were doing, not by creating it. I always tell people it wasn't things that we necessarily thought up. It was by taking a look at what other people were doing and some of the good things. And the other one is I'm extremely proud. When I started, I remember a city employee came up to me, and they were driving the garbage truck. It was completely full of rust. I mean, it looked terrible. And especially in the first term, we made a tremendous commitment to equipment and to staff so that we were able to, one, provide the level of service that Thompsonites deserve and should expect for their taxation, but also to send a message that we're not a city in decline, we believe in our future, and we have to present that image. And I'm proud when I see those trucks moving around and we have modern new trucks. We implemented the garbage collection strategy with virtually no issues. And you'll remember that was a huge challenge to us. And I look at other cities that have done it, and they had lots of issues. So I'm very proud of some of the things we've done. The accommodation tax, another one that I got challenged on a fair bit, but that brings in $500,000. And my last comment would be, when I started on council, we did a certain level of capital improvement on an annual basis, probably a third to 25% of what we do now. But we taxed for it. In the last 2 years, all the capital work that you're seeing done doesn't draw any money from taxation. So it's new revenue sources, whether it's the accommodation tax, whether it's the additional contribution from Valley, which I'm very grateful for, whether it's additional monies from the province of Manitoba that we've went and gone. That's a huge difference. So that allows us to do things. So I think, if anything, I'm very proud of the relationships and the work that I tried to do and council did in terms of improving relationships with other agencies, because you can never do it alone. You have to do it with others, whether it's the provincial government, the federal government, leading corporations. I think we've been successful at that.
Okay. And you mentioned Valet being part of, the situation. With the water treatment plant, that switchover is coming. How do you anticipate that's going to go?
Well, it's a reality. I think Thompsonites should feel very fortunate since 1959, when really we became a community. Valley has Inco first, and then Valley chose to operate that water treatment plant. The 56 agreement is extremely clear. And I think that there's people have to understand that, the day of corporate communities are long gone. Whether we take a look at some of the challenges with water supply that took place in Ontario a few years ago, municipalities have the responsibility for the provision of water, and we're going to work very closely. I want to acknowledge Lovra Pollock and Valet, the leadership there. They're prepared to work with us. I don't think they're going to leave the city of Thompson with a huge issue and walk out the door. I think they're prepared to work with us on a transition plan and a plan in terms of how we recover the costs. So I don't think we should be afraid of it. I think it's a reality, and it's a reality other communities face, and you got to move forward. One of the things I will say, I'm tired of people, constantly saying, oh, well, we shouldn't have to do this, or we shouldn't have to do that, or I wish this wasn't happening. Well, come on, guys, grow up. There's a reality to the world. There's a reality to the role of municipalities, and maybe we're just maturing a little bit, and it's time Thompson understood. Boy, I'll tell you what, we've had a pretty fortunate time here for a long run, and now it's time we have to make sure we're moving forward, and we have an excellent plan, so let's carry it out, and we'll continue to work well with the partners.
All right. Well, we're out of time, but maybe I'll get you just to give a little recap, Tim, of some of the things that we have to look forward to in the upcoming week or weeks here with Thompson.
Yeah, a couple quick things. First off, school starts again next week, so just a reminder that, one, we've got the school zones in place. I'm very pleased to see that. And yes, it's 30 kilometers. I've driven it at 30 through a number of zones. It really doesn't make that big a difference. And I'll tell you, if it comes down to safety of children, whether it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at night, or any other time, safety is more important. So encourage people to take caution around the school zones. We're going to work with people. We want to do an education process, so there'll be a fair amount of media information regarding the school zones. But let's note, there's a lot of children that are going to be on the streets. They're going to be very excited to get back to school, at least for the first day. So let's pay attention and be cautious around that. Again, the road work continues. Hopefully we'll have the asphalt crew in. So again, patience there. It's a long weekend. So to those that might be traveling, safe travels, whether you're leaving Thompson or people are coming in to visit. And hope everyone enjoys the weekend. Get ready for Health and Leisure Mart next weekend. And the last comment will be go Bombers, go this weekend.
All right, that's great. And are you busy after the meeting here, after our show? Do you have any plans?
Well, I understand there are some plans for me after the show, so I look forward to that.
All right. Well, thanks for your time again, Tim. For 102.9 CHTM, this has been City Beat. I'm Sue O'Brien, and Molly Gibson-Kirby will be back next week with the next edition.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at